I want to talk more story here. The
Okay.
big one that I really want to get to is episode 3. There is a lot. There was a lot of backlash for episode 3 and the scene with Bix and Lieutenant Kroll.
Okay.
I want to hear your thoughts before I start pumping in what I've heard from online, what I think myself. Uh, what do you think of that scene being included in Star Wars?
I think it's valuable.
Oh,
I'm trying to think of how to phrase this so that I don't come across as I don't want to be rude,
no, I
basically.
get that. Yeah.
I think that it's such a sensitive topic. It's such a not even divisive issue. I don't think there's a lot of like split on it. It's a bad thing. I
Yeah.
think you could ask 100 people, and 99 or 100 of those people will tell you it's a bad thing. Um, and I appreciate the fact that they were willing to include that. I appreciate the fact that they were willing to um, show it. They were willing to show kind of the. They were willing to kind of put it out there that this is something that happens. They did it in a way that made sense within the story, and I appreciate the fact one that they had the good guy come out on that. That was, I think, huge for it. But they also were willing to address it and call it by name. And I feel like there's a lot of times where it's kind of just an issue that's skirted, it's handled off screen, or um, it's never really discussed after that. But I appreciate the fact that it was said out loud, it was addressed, and it thankfully, it didn't happen in this scenario.
Mhm.
I thought it was valuable to actually put on screen.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Something that Andor has done is make the Empire scary again. Because for so long it just feels like they're stormtroopers who can't aim and over the top cheesy villains. And sometimes maybe the cartoons have aided in that a little bit, not on purpose, but because they're cartoons. Um, Not a lesser form of storytelling in it by any means. They're just been more popular, and that's possibly what has made it been like, hey, this maybe they're a little less serious. But Andor has brought back their ferocity to the forefront, obviously with the Gorman massacre. Um, Even just the opening episode of the series wasn't even the Empire. I know that's my theme right now, but the theme and the tone of the entire show is starting off from the very beginning where Cassian enters a bar. It might have even been a brothel to find his sister, and then immediately shoots two guards in the face. That is, we saw that and we were like, whoa, this is different. And that's part of the charm of Andor, and that's part of what we like. It's not that we like the violence, it's that we understand that this world is very real. You're not going to have. This is not a movie where you get stabbed with a lightsaber and heal again. It's not a movie either. It's a TV show. You get what I mean?
Hmm.
It's going to be more strict with its rules. And it got the sexual assault. And I'm just going to say it instead of saying
Hmm.
grape or essay or whatever, shows how bad it got a reaction out of everyone. Every single person who watched it was like, I don't know about that. And some people went to online and said Darth Vader would not condone that. And I'm like, everyone, somebody said that, and everyone's like, what do you mean? Like 2 years ago when Kenobi came out, he was walking down the street snapping people's necks with the Force, and he's gonna say, sexual assault, too far. I, he's evil, and yes, there's redemption in the end, and that's something we've talked about in previous episodes. But evil is evil, and it's supposed to be so different. There's something to be said for moral ambiguity for Andor, where Andor is dealing with this. He's dealing like with being a part of the good guys. He's struggling with that mentality versus That's different though than just evil, which is what the Empire is supposed to be. Obviously, they're building a Death Star to blow up an entire planet. Which, on that note, I think is really funny that in 1976 or whenever they filmed or wrote Star Wars, George Lucas was like, "Oh yeah, Death Star," and then it turns into one of the best additions to the franchise ever. And it seemed a little silly when they were saying say the name Death Star. Anyways,
No move.
yeah. Uh, the the sexual assault was a lot, and it made you think, yeah, this is wrong, and it has solidified who the good guys are. I think that as I'm saying, moral ambiguity and true morality are kind of separate. They're in my mind they're actually coming together because the um, as the rebels or the beginning formation of the rebels are doing some morally questionable things with the ends in mind, when the ends justify the means, having a scene like this actually solidifies that they're the good guys because the other side is the bad guys. And it's just showing that divide in an extreme way that, yes, is traumatic for some people, and maybe they should have, or maybe they do have a content warning on that episode.
I
But
think they might.
oh no, I
I'll
do
look it
remember.
up.
I think they do. I think they do.
Yeah.
Um, it's just one of those that shows the stark differences, even though both sides are killing, both sides are plundering, and taking over land. You know, it's Star Wars. Um, this is just something that steps over a line that the rebels would never do, and that's just showing us, like, it's giving us contempt for those gray suited admirals, the clone troop or the stormtroopers, so on and so forth. That's my thesis on it.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things where books, in my opinion, can be sometimes more valuable than movies when it comes
Mm.
to a franchise, just because get you're able to build a character a lot more with books, and you're able to build a lot more of the universe with them. Um, and there have been multiple times that I can think of in, especially like the old canon, the EU, um, or Legends, where stuff like this is discussed, where it's like, the Empire conquered this village, and this person is fighting because he saw what happened after the fighting. We don't get that on the screen. And I don't think it's something that we need to have on the screen. Like I'm not advocating for like, yeah, show us more. I
Mm.
don't I don't think they should, but I do think like the fact that they were willing to put that in, they're willing to show that yes, this does happen. This is a part of the empire. I think that's huge. Again, just because they're willing to address it and they're willing to bring it up.